Hello, and welcome. Get comfortable. Pull your blanket a little closer, let your breathing slow, and know that you're exactly where you need to be. Tonight, we're going on a gentle journey through the world of crystals and stones, those quiet, patient teachers that have rested in the earth for millions of years, waiting to be found. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't need to take notes or worry about getting anything right. This is simply a story, drifting like moonlight across water, and you're invited to float along with it, or to let it carry you softly into sleep. Let's begin at the beginning, in the oldest places humans have ever called home. For as long as people have walked this earth, we've been drawn to stones. Not just for their usefulness, though they made our first tools, our first shelters, but for something deeper. Something we felt when we held a smooth river pebble in our palm, or found a piece of quartz glinting in the sunlight. There was beauty there, yes. But also mystery. Also meaning. Archaeologists have found crystal beads in burial sites that are over 100,000 years old. Think about that for a moment. 100,000 years ago, someone chose to place a polished stone beside the body of someone they loved. They wanted that stone to go with them, wherever they were going. Was it protection? Comfort? A symbol of something they couldn't quite name? We'll never know for certain. But we know this: stones have always mattered to us. In ancient Egypt, people wore lapis lazuli, that deep, starry blue stone flecked with gold, as a symbol of the night sky and the realm of the gods. Cleopatra herself is said to have ground lapis into powder to wear as eyeshadow, drawing the magic of the heavens across her skin. Turquoise was carved into scarabs, those sacred beetle amulets meant to protect the soul in the afterlife. And clear quartz? It was placed in tombs, believed to light the way for spirits traveling through the dark. You're safe here, just listening as the story drifts on. Across the world in ancient China, jade became the stone of heaven itself. For thousands of years, jade was more valuable than gold. It was carved into delicate discs called bai, which represented the sky, and buried with emperors to preserve their bodies and honor their spirits. To hold jade was to hold something eternal, something that connected the human world to the divine. Even today, many people treasure jade as a stone of wisdom, longevity, and peaceful energy. The ancient Greeks had their own relationships with stones. They believed that amethyst, that lovely purple quartz, could protect you from drunkenness. In fact, the name amethyst comes from the Greek word amethystos, which means not intoxicated. People would drink from amethyst cups or wear amethyst jewelry to stay clear-headed at feasts and celebrations. Whether it worked in the way they imagined, we can't say. But the intention was there, woven into the stone. And so it went, culture after culture, century after century. Stones were carried for courage before battle. They were sewn into clothing to ward off illness. They were placed under pillows to encourage dreams, or hung above doorways to protect homes. In medieval Europe, people believed that bloodstone, a dark green stone with flecks of red, could stop bleeding and strengthen the heart. In India, ruby was considered the king of gems, a stone of vitality and passion, worn by royalty and holy people alike. Let the details soften and fade if you're falling asleep. That's perfectly fine. Now, here's something important to understand as we move forward together. When modern witches work with crystals and stones, they're working with two layers of meaning at once. The first layer is geological. It's scientific, measurable, real in the way we usually think of real. A piece of rose quartz is silicon dioxide with traces of titanium, iron, or manganese that give it that soft pink color. It formed deep underground, over millions of years, under incredible heat and pressure. It's a genuine piece of the Earth's body, and that's remarkable all on its own. The second layer is symbolic. It's the meaning we've given these stones over time, the stories, the associations, the intentions. Rose quartz has become known, in many modern practices, as a stone of love and gentle healing. Not because the silicon dioxide molecules contain some literal essence of love, but because humans have looked at that soft pink glow and felt something tender. We've held it during heartbreak and whispered our hopes into it. We've placed it on our altars and called in compassion. Over time, that practice creates a kind of collective agreement, rose quartz is for the heart. Both layers are true. The stone is genuinely ancient mineral, and it's also a container for human meaning. You don't have to choose between them. Many people who work with crystals today think of them as tools for focusing intention. Imagine you're trying to cultivate more calm in your life. You might choose to carry a piece of smooth blue lace agate in your pocket, not because the stone will magically erase your anxiety, but because every time you touch it, you're reminded of your intention. You pause. You breathe. The stone becomes an anchor for your practice. This is what we mean by correspondence in magical work. It's the art of matching materials, colors, herbs, stones, symbols, to intentions and energies. It's not a rigid system with one right answer. Different traditions have different correspondences. Different witches might feel different connections to the same stone. And that's not only okay, it's part of the beauty. As you rest, you can imagine a candlelit table covered in soft cloth. On it, a small collection of stones, each one quietly holding its own presence. There's clear quartz, sometimes called the master healer or the universal stone. It's the most common crystal on Earth, found on every continent, in countless forms. Some pieces are perfectly clear, like frozen water. Others are cloudy or filled with rainbows and inclusions, tiny worlds trapped inside. Many witches use clear quartz when they're not sure which stone to choose, because it's thought to amplify intention and adapt to whatever work is needed. Some people program their quartz with specific purposes. Others simply appreciate its clarity and light. Beside it, a piece of amethyst, that purple stone the Greeks loved. In modern practice, amethyst is often associated with intuition, calm, and spiritual connection. Some people place it near their bed to encourage peaceful sleep and vivid dreams. Others hold it during meditation, feeling it as a gentle support for opening inner vision. The color itself, ranging from pale lilac to deep violet, has long been linked to the crown of the head, to higher consciousness, to the liminal space between waking and dreaming. And here, a chunk of black obsidian, smooth and glassy. Obsidian is volcanic glass, born from lava cooling so quickly that crystals don't have time to form. It's been used for tools and weapons and mirrors for thousands of years. In magical practice, many people think of obsidian as protective and grounding. It's associated with shadow work, the practice of looking honestly at the parts of ourselves we'd rather not see, because its reflective surface doesn't lie. It shows what's there. Some witches carry obsidian when they need to feel shielded, or when they're doing difficult emotional work and need to stay rooted. You don't need to remember any of this. Just let the images wash over you like a gentle tide. Now let's consider rose quartz again, that stone of soft pink light. Beyond its reputation for romantic love, many people work with rose quartz for self-compassion and forgiveness. After all, how can we truly love others if we're constantly at war with ourselves? Rose quartz invites gentleness. It sits on the nightstand or the altar like a quiet friend, asking nothing, offering a reminder, be kind. Some people hold rose quartz over their heart and simply breathe. Others place it in bath water. There's no wrong way to be with a stone, as long as your intention is clear and your heart is open. These are just a few examples, of course. There are hundreds of stones that modern witches and crystal enthusiasts work with, each carrying its own geological story and its own web of symbolic meaning. Some people organize their practice around correspondences, matching stones to elements, planets, days of the week, moon phases. Fire stones like carnelian and sunstone for courage and creativity. Water stones like moonstone and aquamarine for intuition and flow. Earth stones like hematite and moss agate for grounding and abundance. Air stones like blue lace agate and celestite for clarity and communication. Others might choose stones by chakra, those energy centers described in Hindu and Buddhist traditions. Red and black stones for the root, orange for the sacral, yellow for the solar plexus, green and pink for the heart, blue for the throat, indigo for the third eye, violet and clear for the crown. And still others work more intuitively, simply noticing which stones they're drawn to on a particular day. There's wisdom in that too, trusting your own resonance, your own inner knowing. Let the details soften. Let them drift like leaves on a slow-moving stream. One thing that's worth mentioning, as we rest here together in this quiet space, is the question of where stones come from. Most of the crystals you'll find in shops today have traveled a long way to reach you. They've been mined from the earth, sometimes by large companies, sometimes by small family operations. The conditions vary widely. Some mining practices are deeply harmful to the environment and to the people doing the work. Others are more careful, more respectful. Many modern witches try to source their stones ethically when they can. They look for sellers who are transparent about where their crystals come from. They buy second-hand when possible, or collect stones directly from nature in places where it's allowed and ecologically sound. They remember that working with earth materials means being in relationship with the earth itself, which includes responsibility and respect. You don't need to feel guilty if you already have stones and don't know their origin. But moving forward, you might simply choose to be more mindful. To ask questions. To remember that magic isn't separate from justice, it's woven through it. And here's something else that's true: you don't need crystals to practice witchcraft or to connect with the sacred. Stones are beautiful, yes. They're ancient and powerful in their own way. But the real magic is in you. The stones are just helpers, just friends along the path. If you never own a single crystal, you can still work profound magic with intention, with breath, with the materials you have close at hand. But if you do choose to work with stones, if you're drawn to their quiet presence and their patient beauty, then welcome. You're joining a tradition that stretches back to the very beginning of human consciousness. You're placing yourself in a long line of people who looked at the earth and saw not just utility, but wonder. As you sink deeper into rest now, imagine yourself walking along a riverbed at dusk. The water is low and gentle, and the stones beneath the surface gleam in the fading light. You reach down and pick one up, smooth, cool, heavy in your palm. You don't know what kind it is. You don't need to. You just feel its weight, its presence, its patient existence. It was here long before you. It will be here long after. And for this moment, you're holding a piece of deep time, a fragment of the earth's long dreaming. You slip the stone into your pocket and keep walking. The stars are beginning to appear overhead. The air smells like water and growing things. And you know, in that wordless way we sometimes know things, that you're exactly where you need to be. In the next part of our journey, we'll drift through more of the stones modern witches love, and the gentle ways they're used for intention, protection, and calm. We'll explore how to cleanse and charge your crystals, how to create simple grids and layouts, and how to listen to what the stones themselves might be trying to tell you. But for now, rest. Let your breathing slow. Let your body soften into sleep. The stones will wait. They're very good at waiting. And so the story continues, soft as moonlight, steady as the earth beneath us. We've been walking together along this riverbed, stones smooth beneath our feet, stars beginning to pierce the darkening sky. And now, as night settles in fully around us, we turn our attention to something humans have always needed: protection. Safety. The feeling of being held and guarded as we move through uncertain spaces. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. You're safe here, listening, or drifting toward dreams. Throughout history, people have carried stones not just for beauty or meaning, but for protection. Real, tangible protection sometimes. A hard stone could be a weapon, after all, or a tool. But also spiritual protection, symbolic protection, the kind that lives in the space between the physical and the felt. In ancient Rome, soldiers carried hematite into battle. Hematite is an iron oxide, heavy and metallic, often polished to a dark mirror shine. Its name comes from the Greek word for blood, because when you grind it or cut it, the powder runs red like rust, like the iron in our own veins. Roman soldiers believed hematite made them invincible, or at least harder to wound. They would rub it on their bodies before combat, seeking the strength of iron, the weight of earth, the shield of stone. Today, many witches work with hematite for grounding, that practice of connecting consciously to the earth beneath us, of feeling rooted and stable even when life feels chaotic. Hematite is heavy in the hand. It has presence. Some people hold it when they're feeling scattered or anxious, when their thoughts are spinning too fast and they need to come back to their body. The weight itself becomes a reminder: you are here. You are solid. You are held by something much larger than your worry. You don't need to remember any of this. Just let the words wash over you like a lullaby. Black tourmaline is another stone deeply associated with protection in modern practice. It forms in long, striated crystals, often opaque and rough-textured, sometimes with a glassy sheen. Geologically, it's a complex borosilicate mineral, and it has an interesting property: it's piezoelectric, which means it can generate an electric charge when pressured or heated. This physical property has led some people to feel that black tourmaline actively repels negative energy, creating a kind of energetic boundary. Many witches place black tourmaline near their front door, or carry it when they're going into situations that feel draining or difficult. Some people sleep with it under their pillow when they're experiencing nightmares or feel energetically vulnerable at night. The practice isn't about literal magic, necessarily, it's about creating a ritual of intention. When you place that stone by your door, you're saying, "This is my boundary. This is where I choose what enters and what stays out." Obsidian, which we met earlier, also appears frequently in protection work. But where black tourmaline is thought to repel, obsidian is often described as absorbing. It takes things in, holds them, neutralizes them. Some practitioners keep a piece of obsidian on their altar specifically for this purpose, a place to direct unwanted energy, knowing the stone can handle it. Afterward, they might cleanse the stone by placing it in earth or salt, imagining it releasing whatever it has held. There are gentler protection stones too, for those who don't resonate with the intensity of black stones. Smoky quartz, for instance, that lovely brown or gray transparent quartz that looks like captured smoke. It's quartz that has been naturally irradiated in the earth, often by nearby radioactive minerals, which changes its color without changing its essential crystal structure. Smoky quartz is considered both grounding and protecting, but in a softer way. It's like a wise grandmother's hand on your shoulder, steady, calm, gently reminding you of your own strength. Some people work with smoky quartz when they're processing grief or fear, when they need to feel held without being hardened. As you rest, you can imagine a circle of stones on the floor around your bed. You're in the center, warm and safe, and the stones stand like quiet guardians. They ask nothing of you. They simply presence themselves, patient as mountains. Let's talk for a moment about what we mean when we say negative energy, because this phrase gets used a lot in crystal work, and it's worth examining gently. Some people experience negative energy as a tangible thing, a heavy feeling in a room, a sense of being drained after spending time with certain people, the residue of an argument that seems to cling to the walls. Whether this is metaphor or something more, the feeling is real to the person experiencing it. And if a stone helps them feel better, helps them set boundaries or reclaim their space, then the stone is doing its work. Others think of negative energy in more psychological terms. It's not a thing that exists out there, but a projection of our own stress, our own unprocessed emotions. The stone, then, becomes a tool for self-reflection and intentional change. Both understandings can coexist. Both can be useful. The key is to avoid using protection stones as a way to bypass the real work of setting boundaries with people or addressing the actual sources of stress in your life. A piece of black tourmaline on your desk won't fix a toxic work environment, but it might help you stay centered while you figure out your next steps. It's a support, not a solution. Let the details drift if you're falling asleep. That's exactly right. There's another stone that appears frequently in protection traditions across many cultures, tiger's eye. It's a golden brown stone with chatoyancy, that silky, shifting band of light that moves across the surface when you turn it, like the slit pupil of a cat's eye catching light. This effect is caused by parallel fibers of quartz that have replaced earlier minerals, creating that distinctive shimmer. In ancient Egypt, tiger's eye was associated with the sun god Ra and was carved into amulets for courage and protection. In more recent folklore, particularly in European and American traditions, people believed that tiger's eye could ward off the evil eye, that malevolent glare of envy or ill will. Mothers would sometimes sew a small piece into their children's clothing for safekeeping. Modern practitioners often work with tiger's eye for confidence and mental clarity, particularly when facing challenging situations. It's thought to help you see situations clearly, without either the fog of fear or the distortion of wishful thinking. Some people hold tiger's eye when they need to have difficult conversations, or when they're making decisions that require both courage and discernment. Red jasper is another ancient protection stone, this one associated particularly with physical safety and stamina. Jasper is an opaque form of chalcedony, which is itself a form of quartz, seeing a pattern here. Quartz in its many forms really does appear everywhere in crystal work, and it comes in many colors depending on the minerals present during its formation. Red jasper, colored by iron oxide, was worn by warriors and travelers in many cultures. In medieval Europe, it was sometimes called the rain bringer and was thought to protect against drowning. Some Native American traditions considered jasper a sacred stone for connecting to the earth and receiving her strength. Today, many witches keep red jasper on hand for what they call practical protection, not just spiritual shielding, but help staying alert while driving, maintaining physical energy during demanding work, or recovering more quickly from illness. It's considered a stone of survival and perseverance. You're safe here, drifting, breathing, letting these stories settle like snow. Now let's talk about grounding for a moment, because it's related to protection, but it's not quite the same thing. Grounding, in magical and energetic terms, is the practice of connecting your energy to the earth. It's a way of discharging excess energy, anxiety, overstimulation, the jangled feeling after too much screen time or too many people, and drawing up stable, calm energy from below. It's like being a tree, you send roots down, and that gives you the stability to stretch branches up. Many grounding practices don't require stones at all. You can stand barefoot on the earth. You can lie on the floor and feel your weight against it. You can visualize roots growing from your spine into the soil beneath your home. But stones can help, particularly for people who are very mental or cerebral, who live mostly in their heads and need a physical anchor to bring them back into their bodies. Hematite, which we've already met, is perhaps the most popular grounding stone. But there are others. Black obsidian, as we discussed. Smoky quartz. Red jasper. And also stones like petrified wood, which isn't technically a crystal at all, but fossilized wood where the organic material has been gradually replaced by minerals over millions of years. Petrified wood carries the grounding energy of ancient forests, some people say. It remembers what it was to be rooted and growing, even though it has transformed into stone. Some practitioners work with what they call grounding rituals, holding a stone in each hand and breathing slowly, feeling their weight. Placing stones on the body, one on the chest, one on the belly, one near the feet, and resting for 10 or 15 minutes. Carrying a stone in their pocket and touching it throughout the day is a reminder to pause, breathe, and return to the present moment. These aren't elaborate ceremonies. They're small acts of kindness toward your own nervous system. Let yourself soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your thoughts slow and blur. There's something else worth mentioning about protection stones, something that's both old and new, the idea that stones themselves can become overwhelmed or saturated with energy, and need to be cleansed or cleared. We'll talk more about cleansing methods in a later section, but for now, just know this: if you work with stones for protection, many traditions suggest that you develop some kind of regular practice for clearing them. Not because the stones are literally full of bad vibes, though some people experience it that way, but because the ritual of cleansing is a way of acknowledging the work the stone has done, and renewing your intention. Some people bury their protection stones in earth for a day or a week. Some pass them through incense smoke. Some place them in moonlight or sunlight. Some simply hold them under running water and thank them. The method matters less than the intention behind it. And here's a gentle reminder: You don't have to believe in any of this for it to be useful. Even if you understand the entire process as psychological, as metaphor, as a way of making your intentions physical so your brain can work with them more easily, that's enough. The stones don't judge. They just are. Imagine now a small cloth bag, soft and worn, tied with a cord. Inside, 3 stones, black tourmaline for boundaries, hematite for grounding, tiger's eye for clarity. You keep this bag on your altar, or in your bag, or beside your bed. It's not magic in the sense of breaking the laws of physics. But it's magic in the sense of meaningful ritual, in the sense of caring for yourself with intention, in the sense of connecting to an ancient human practice of seeking protection and strength from the earth. As you sink deeper into rest, feel yourself held by the world beneath you. The ground, the stone, the patient earth that has been here so long and will remain long after we're gone. You are a brief, bright moment in the earth's dreaming, and also you are made of the same materials, calcium and carbon, iron and water. You are stone and stardust both. In the next part of our journey, we'll drift into the realm of the heart, those gentle pink and green stones that speak of love and healing and the tender work of opening. We'll explore rose quartz more deeply, and meet aventurine, rhodonite, and the soft magic of stones that ask us to be vulnerable. But for now, rest. Let the stones stand guard at the edges of your dreams. Let your breathing deepen and slow. The earth holds you. The night surrounds you. And all is well, all is well, all is well. Your breathing has found its own rhythm now, slow and steady as waves on a distant shore. And we turn our attention to something tender, the heart, and the stones that have long been associated with love, compassion, and healing. Let yourself be held by the softness of this moment. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. We've already met rose quartz, that gentle pink stone that sits on so many altars and nightstands, quiet as dawn light. But let's spend a little more time with it now, because its story reaches back further than you might imagine. Rose quartz has been treasured for at least 7,000 years. Archaeologists have found rose quartz beads in Mesopotamia, in what is now Iraq, dating back to around 7000 BCE. In ancient Egypt, it was used in face masks, ground into powder and mixed with other ingredients, because people believed it could preserve youth and beauty. Whether it affected their skin or simply made them feel more beautiful, we can't say. But the intention was there: softness, preservation, care. The ancient Romans and Greeks also valued rose quartz, associating it with love gods and goddesses, Aphrodite, Venus, Eros, Cupid. According to one myth, Aphrodite's blood mixed with Adonis's when he was wounded, and their mingled blood stained white quartz pink, creating rose quartz. It became a stone of reconciliation, of love that persists even through wounding. In modern practice, many people work with rose quartz not primarily for romantic love, but for something deeper and perhaps more challenging: self-love. The practice of treating yourself with the same gentleness you might offer a beloved friend. The radical act of believing you are worthy of care, exactly as you are, with all your flaws and fears and messy humanness. Some people place rose quartz over their heart in the morning and speak kind words to themselves, words they might struggle to believe, but practice anyway, like learning a new language. I am worthy of love. I am doing my best. I forgive myself for being human. The stone becomes a witness to this practice, a soft presence that doesn't judge or demand, just quietly holds space. You don't need to remember any of this. Let it wash over you like warm water. Green aventurine is another heart stone, though its energy feels quite different from rose quartz. Where rose quartz is soft and nurturing, aventurine has a quality of gentle optimism, of opening to possibility. It's a green variety of quartz, colored by tiny inclusions of fuchsite or other minerals that give it a sparkly, aventurescent shimmer, called aventurescence, from the Italian avventura, meaning by chance. The name itself comes from a happy accident. In 18th century Venice, a glass worker accidentally dropped copper filings into molten glass, creating a sparkly material they called aventurine glass. When a similar sparkling mineral was later discovered, it was named after the glass. So the stone is named after an imitation of itself, a reminder that sometimes the copies come before we recognize the original. Many modern witches work with green aventurine for heart healing that involves growth and forward movement. If rose quartz is the stone that says rest here, be gentle with yourself, aventurine might be the stone that says when you're ready, there are good things waiting. Some people carry it when they're trying to open themselves to new relationships after heartbreak, or when they're working on patterns that have kept them closed and defended. In some traditions, aventurine is also associated with luck and prosperity, perhaps because green stones have long been connected to growth, abundance, and the flourishing of living things. But the luck it's thought to bring isn't the luck of the lottery, it's the luck of being open to opportunities, of being willing to take gentle risks. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Let your face soften, your hands unfurl. Rhodonite is a less common but deeply beautiful heart stone, pink like rose quartz, but streaked with black manganese oxide, creating striking patterns. The pink comes from manganese in a different oxidation state, so the same element creates both the tender pink and the bold black. It's a stone of contrasts held together, of light and dark existing in the same space. In crystal healing traditions, rhodonite is often called a stone of forgiveness and compassion, particularly in situations where there has been betrayal or deep hurt. The black veins are sometimes seen as representing the wounds we carry, while the pink represents the love that can grow around and through them. We don't erase our hurts, they become part of our pattern, but they don't have to define the whole stone. Some practitioners work with rhodonite when they're doing the difficult work of forgiving someone, not because that person deserves forgiveness, necessarily, but because carrying resentment is too heavy, too exhausting. The stone becomes a companion in that work, a reminder that healing doesn't mean pretending the wound never happened. Others use it for self-forgiveness, for those times when we've hurt ourselves or others and struggle to move forward. The stone sits in the palm, cool and solid, and we practice saying, I acknowledge what happened. I am learning. I choose to continue growing. Green jade appears in heart-centered work as well, though it carries different associations than the other stones we've met. Jade, whether it's nephrite or jadeite, the two distinct minerals both called jade, has been revered in Chinese culture for thousands of years as we mentioned earlier, but its connection to the heart is worth exploring further. In traditional Chinese medicine and philosophy, jade is associated with purity, serenity, and the highest virtues. It's not passionate or romantic love that jade represents, but rather the love of wisdom, of integrity, of living in harmony with one's deepest values. Some describe it as the stone of the noble heart, not noble in the sense of aristocracy, but noble in the sense of character. Many people wear jade close to their skin, believing it grows more beautiful and more powerful the longer it's worn, as it absorbs something of the wearer's energy. In Chinese tradition, a jade bangle that breaks is thought to have protected its wearer from harm, taking the damage upon itself. This belief has led to the practice of choosing one piece of jade and wearing it daily, building a relationship with it over years or even a lifetime. As you rest here, imagine a garden at night. The air is soft and smells of growing things. In the moonlight, you can see roses, pink and white and deep red, and among them, smooth stones placed carefully along the paths. Heart stones. Love stones. Each one holding its own particular frequency of tenderness. You don't need to walk through this garden. You can simply know it's there, existing alongside your dreams. Malachite is a more intense heart stone, not for the faint of, heart. It's a copper carbonate mineral with distinctive green banding, swirling patterns of light and dark green that can be mesmerizing to look at. It's been used for thousands of years, both as a pigment and as a decorative stone. The ancient Egyptians mined it and ground it into green eyeshadow, and Russian Tsars used massive pieces of malachite to decorate palaces. In crystal work, malachite is considered a powerful stone for emotional healing, but with an intensity that can feel overwhelming. Some practitioners say malachite brings buried emotions to the surface, grief you haven't processed, anger you've been swallowing, fears you've been avoiding. It doesn't let you hide. For some people, this is exactly what they need. For others, it's too much too fast. There's wisdom in knowing yourself and choosing accordingly. Rose quartz might be the gentle mother, rhodonite the compassionate friend, and malachite the fierce truth-teller who loves you enough to hold up a mirror. All forms of love. All valid approaches to healing. A word of practical caution here, delivered gently: malachite is toxic if ingested or if dust is inhaled, because of its copper content. This doesn't mean you can't work with it. Polished malachite is safe to handle, but it does mean you shouldn't use it in elixirs or grind it into powder. This is true of several copper-bearing stones. Beauty and danger can coexist, and part of working with stones mindfully is understanding their properties, both geological and symbolic. Let the details drift away if sleep is calling you. You're safe here. All is well. Pink or watermelon tourmaline, tourmaline that shows both pink and green in the same crystal, is another beloved heart stone in modern witchcraft. Tourmaline comes in more colors than almost any other mineral, and these pink-green specimens are particularly prized, not just for their beauty but for their symbolism. The way pink and green appear together in the same crystal, sometimes in distinct bands and sometimes blended, speaks to the integration of different kinds of love, romantic and platonic, passionate and peaceful, the love we give and the love we receive. Some people work with watermelon tourmaline when they're trying to balance these different expressions of love in their lives, or when they're healing the relationship between self-love and love for others. There's also something called kunzite, a pink variety of spodumene, that appears in some heart-centered crystal work. It's a relatively recently discovered stone, only identified in the early 1900s, so it doesn't have the long historical pedigree of jade or rose quartz. But it's gained a following among practitioners who work with what some call the higher heart, a practice of love that includes discernment, that honors both openness and boundaries. Kunzite is sometimes described as the stone of emotional maturity, of learning to love without losing yourself, of maintaining your own center even as you connect deeply with others. It's thought to help with the fear of intimacy that many people carry, the ways we've learned to protect ourselves that sometimes protect us right out of connection. You might place a piece of kunzite on your altar and ask yourself, where am I defending against the very thing I long for? Where have I confused self-protection with self-isolation? These aren't easy questions. The stone doesn't answer them for you. It just sits there, patient and pink, as you slowly work it out. As you sink deeper now, feel your own heart, that faithful muscle that has been beating since before you were born, that will continue until your last moment, asking nothing in return. Your heart knows how to love. It's been practicing your whole life. The stones are just here to remind you, to encourage you, to hold space while you remember what you already know. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore something both practical and profound, the many ways people cleanse and care for their stones, and the gentle truth that there's no one right way. We'll talk about moon water and smoke, about salt myths and simple alternatives, about how to listen to what feels right for you. But for now, rest in the garden of the heart. Let the pink stones glow softly in your mind's eye. Let love, messy, complicated, beautiful love, be something you allow rather than something you chase. Let your breathing slow. Let sleep find you, gentle as rose petals falling. And here we are, deeper still into the night. Your body knows how to rest, it's been practicing since the beginning. Let yourself trust that ancient knowledge. Let go a little more. We've been walking together through the world of stones, meeting protectors and heart healers, learning their geological truths and their symbolic meanings. And now we turn to something quieter, more intimate, the question of how we care for these stones once they come into our lives. You'll hear a lot of rules about cleansing crystals if you spend time in crystal communities. Some of them are useful. Some of them are fear-based. And some of them are simply traditions passed down without much thought about why. So let's approach this topic gently, with curiosity rather than rigidity, and see what feels true for you. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. You don't need to remember any of this, just let it drift through your awareness like clouds across the moon. The idea of cleansing crystals comes from the belief that stones can absorb or accumulate energy from their environment, from the people who handle them, from the spaces they occupy, from the work they do. If you've used a piece of black tourmaline for protection, the thinking goes, it might become saturated with whatever it's been protecting you from. If you've been grieving while holding rose quartz, it might carry the residue of that grief. Now, scientifically speaking, there's no evidence that stones store energy in any measurable way. They're not batteries or sponges for emotions. but the practice of cleansing can still be valuable, not because the stone needs it, but because you do. It's a ritual of transition, of intention setting, of marking endings and beginnings. When you cleanse a stone, you're really cleansing your relationship with it, clearing away old associations so you can approach it fresh. Some of the most common cleansing methods you'll hear about involve the elements, earth, water, fire, and air. Let's explore these gently, along with their limitations and alternatives. Burying stones in earth is an ancient practice for clearing and recharging them. The idea is that the earth absorbs whatever the stone has been holding, neutralizes it, and returns the stone to its natural state. Some people bury their stones for a full lunar cycle, from new moon to new moon. Others just overnight, or for a few days. This method works beautifully for most stones, and there's something symbolically powerful about returning a stone to the earth, even temporarily. You're acknowledging where it came from. You're participating in a cycle of taking and returning. If you have a garden or a potted plant, you can simply nestle the stone into the soil and leave it there for a while. The main caution with burial is practical: remember where you buried it. Many people have lost beloved stones to their own gardens because they forgot the exact spot. Some practitioners mark the location with a stick or a rock, or use a small cloth bag so the stone is easier to find. Let these details wash over you softly. Let your breathing deepen and slow. Water is another traditional cleansing element. Running water, especially streams, rivers, the ocean, is thought to carry away stagnant or heavy energy, leaving the stone refreshed. Some people hold their stones under a faucet for a minute or two, setting an intention as the water flows. Others take them to natural water sources, though this requires care not to accidentally lose small stones to the current. But here's something important that often gets overlooked in cleansing instructions: not all stones are safe to put in water. Some are water-soluble and will literally dissolve or be damaged. Selenite, for instance, that beautiful, translucent crystal often used for clarity and spiritual connection, is a form of gypsum, and it will deteriorate in water. Halite, which is rock salt, will dissolve even faster. Other stones contain minerals that can be toxic if they leach into water, especially if you're making what some people call crystal elixirs, water infused with stones. Malachite, which we met earlier, can release copper into water. Pyrite, that glittering gold stone sometimes called fool's gold, contains sulfur and can create sulfuric acid in water. Turquoise can be damaged by water because it's often stabilized with resins. So before you cleanse a stone with water, it's worth taking a moment to check whether it's water safe. A general rule of thumb: if it's a form of quartz, it's probably fine. If it ends in ite or has a Mohs hardness below 5, be cautious. But you can also simply choose other cleansing methods, which we'll explore in a moment. As you rest here, imagine a small stream running over smooth stones. The water is clear and cool, and the sound is constant and soothing. You don't need to get up and go there. You can just hold the image lightly in your mind, or let it fade into dreams. Smoke cleansing is beloved by many practitioners, passing stones through the smoke of burning herbs, incense, or wood. This practice appears in cultures all around the world, from the frankincense and myrrh burned in ancient temples to the copal resin used in Mesoamerican ceremonies to the white sage or palo santo you might find in modern metaphysical shops. The smoke is thought to lift away unwanted energy, carrying it up and dispersing it. There's also something ceremonial about it, something that engages multiple senses: the smell, the sight of smoke curling, the slight warmth. It makes the act of cleansing feel intentional and complete. A gentle note here about cultural respect: white sage in particular has become controversial because it's traditionally sacred to some indigenous peoples of North America, and commercial demand has led to overharvesting in some areas. Many practitioners have chosen to use alternatives instead: garden sage, rosemary, lavender, cedar, or incense from their own cultural traditions. The smoke itself doesn't have to come from any specific plant to be effective. Your intention matters more than the species. And of course, smoke cleansing isn't suitable for everyone. If you have asthma, allergies, or sensitive lungs, or if you live somewhere you can't safely burn things, you need other options. Which brings us to gentler alternatives. You don't need to remember every detail. Just let the information settle softly, like snow. Sound is a beautiful cleansing method that works for all stones and requires no special conditions. Some people use singing bowls, those metal bowls that produce sustained tones when struck or rimmed with a mallet. Others use bells, chimes, tuning forks, or even their own voice, humming or toning near the stones. The idea is that sound waves move through the crystal structure, shaking loose any stagnant energy. Scientifically, we know that sound does create vibrations, and crystals do respond to vibrations. This is why quartz is used in watches and electronics. Whether this translates to energetic cleansing is a matter of belief, but the practice itself can be meditative and lovely. You might place a stone near a singing bowl and strike the bowl, letting the sound wash over it. Or you might hold a stone in your hand and sing to it, a lullaby, a chant, a simple hum. There's no wrong way to do it. The stone doesn't judge your pitch. Moonlight is another popular cleansing and charging method, particularly during the full moon. People place their stones on a windowsill or outside overnight, believing the moon's light will clear and energize them. Different moon phases are thought to offer different energies: the full moon for charging and amplifying, the new moon for clearing and new beginnings, the waning moon for release. There's something beautiful about this practice, about participating in the lunar cycle, about placing your stones where moonlight can touch them. Whether the moon's light literally affects the stones is less important than what the ritual does for you. It connects you to celestial rhythms, to something larger than your daily concerns. Some traditions say certain stones shouldn't be placed in sunlight because they'll fade. Amethyst and rose quartz in particular are known to lose color with prolonged sun exposure. But for moon cleansing, all stones are welcome. The moon is gentler, cooler, more receptive. She takes her time. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts become soft and scattered, like stars. Here's a method you might not hear about as often, but it's perhaps the simplest of all: visualization and intention. You hold the stone in your hands, close your eyes, and imagine light flowing through it: white light, golden light, whatever color feels cleansing to you. You imagine any heaviness or cloudiness dissolving, being carried away by the light. You set the intention that the stone is clear, neutral, ready for its next purpose. Does this work? Well, if you believe that crystals absorb energy primarily as a metaphor for how we project meaning onto them, then yes, changing your own perception and intention is exactly what's needed. And even if you believe stones hold energy in some more literal way, focused intention is powerful. Your will, your attention, your conscious choice, these matter. Some practitioners combine methods. They might cleanse with smoke and then charge in moonlight. Or bury a stone and then rinse it gently before placing it back on their altar. There's no rule that says you can only use one method. Trust yourself. Trust what feels right. And here's something else that's true: whisper quietly. You don't have to cleanse your stones at all if you don't want to. If the concept doesn't resonate with you, if it feels like unnecessary fuss, if your stones feel fine to you just as they are, then skip it. The stones won't mind. They've been in the earth for millions of years, exposed to all kinds of energies, and they've managed just fine. The practice is for you, not for them. Do what serves your practice, your peace, your sense of being in good relationship with your tools. As you sink deeper into rest now, imagine yourself holding a stone under cool running water. The water flows and flows, carrying away everything that needs to go. The stone is smooth in your palm, patient and solid. When you're ready, you dry it gently and place it on a soft cloth to rest. The stone is the same as it ever was, and also somehow renewed. Or perhaps you are the one renewed, having taken time to tend to something with care. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the ancient art of amulets and talismans, how people throughout history have carried stones for luck, for protection, for love. We'll learn about how stones were set into jewelry, sewn into clothing, buried under thresholds, and carried into battle. We'll see how old these practices are, and how they continue today. But for now, rest. Let the cleansing waters of sleep wash over you. Let everything heavy sink away. Let yourself be held by the patient earth, by the darkness that is not empty but full of stars, full of dreams, full of possibility. The story continues, soft as rainfall, ancient as stone. The night holds you gently. The darkness is soft around you like a blanket. And we continue our journey through stone and story, turning now to one of humanity's oldest practices, carrying stones as amulets and talismans, as portable magic, as companions through uncertain worlds. Let your body grow heavy. Let your mind grow light. You're exactly where you need to be. There's a distinction worth knowing, whispered softly so as not to disturb your rest. An amulet is generally something worn or carried for protection, to ward off harm or ill fortune. A talisman, on the other hand, is meant to attract something, luck, love, success, a specific desired outcome. In practice, the words are often used interchangeably, and that's perfectly fine. The stones don't worry about definitions. The practice of carrying protective stones goes back so far that we can barely see its beginning. In ancient Sumeria, over 4,000 years ago, people wore cylinder seals carved from stones like lapis lazuli, carnelian, and hematite. These weren't just decorative, they were deeply personal objects, carved with images and symbols, used to mark documents in clay tablets with a rolling impression. But they were also protective amulets, kept close to the body, often inscribed with prayers or invocations to specific deities. The stone itself mattered. Lapis lazuli, that deep blue stone we met in the beginning, was associated with the heavens and divine protection. Carnelian, a translucent orange-red stone, was linked to courage and vitality. The choice of stone was part of the magic, part of the message to the gods and to oneself. This is what I carry, this is what I need, this is who I am. Let the details drift softly past you. You don't need to hold on to anything. In ancient Egypt, the practice of stone amulets became extraordinarily elaborate. Small carved figures, scarabs, eyes of Horus, ankhs, jed pillars, were made from all kinds of stones and worn as jewelry or sewn into clothing. When someone died, specific amulets were placed at specific locations on the mummified body, each one serving a purpose in the journey through the afterlife. The heart scarab was particularly important, a large scarab carved from green stone, often green jasper or serpentine, and placed over the heart of the deceased. It was inscribed with a spell from the Book of the Dead, asking the heart not to testify against the person during the weighing of the heart ceremony. "Don't betray me," the spell said. "Don't speak of my failings. Let me pass into the eternal fields." Imagine the care with which these were made. The hours spent carving stone with copper tools and sand, the prayers whispered over the work, the hope that this small green object would protect someone they loved in a realm they could not see. Whether it worked, we cannot know. But the love was real. The intention was real. As you rest here, feel the weight of your own heart, steady in your chest. It requires no scarab, no spell. It simply beats, faithful and true. Carnelian appears again and again in historical amulet work across many cultures. In ancient Rome, carnelian was carved into intaglios, designs carved into the stones so they would leave a raised impression in wax when used as a seal. Warriors wore carnelian rings and pendants, believing the stone would make them brave and protect them from wounds. The Prophet Muhammad is said to have worn a carnelian ring, and this led to carnelian becoming highly valued in Islamic cultures. It was often carved with verses from the Quran or the names of Allah, and worn as both spiritual protection and a declaration of faith. Even today, many people from Muslim backgrounds have a special connection to carnelian, seeing it as a stone of courage, faith, and divine protection. Medieval Europe had its own rich tradition of stone amulets. Bloodstone, that dark green stone with red spots we mentioned earlier, was particularly prized. People believed it had formed at the crucifixion, when drops of Christ's blood fell onto green jasper at the foot of the cross. Whether or not one believes this story, it shows how deeply stones were woven into spiritual narrative and meaning. Bloodstone was carried by soldiers for courage and protection. It was also worn by those who feared bleeding, women in childbirth, people undergoing surgery with the crude tools of the time, anyone facing injury. The red spots on the green were seen as a promise: the stone knows blood, the stone can speak to blood, the stone can help. Let your breathing deepen. Let sleep find the spaces between words. Jet is another fascinating material in amulet history, not technically a stone but fossilized wood, similar to coal, that can be carved and polished to a deep, glossy black. Jet has been used for mourning jewelry since at least the Roman era, but it became especially popular in Victorian England after Prince Albert died and Queen Victoria wore jet mourning jewelry for decades. But jet's use as an amulet goes back much further. In ancient Britain, jet beads and carvings have been found in graves from the Bronze Age. It was thought to protect against evil spirits and negative magic, perhaps because its deep black seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Some people believed jet could protect children from the evil eye, and would sew small pieces into their clothing or give them jet beads to wear. Jet has an interesting physical property. When rubbed, it can generate static electricity. This would have seemed quite magical to people who didn't understand electricity. The stone comes alive under your touch, attracts small objects like hair or chaff. This property likely contributed to its reputation as a powerful protective material. In various folk traditions across Europe, stones with natural holes, often called hag stones, holy stones, or adder stones, were considered particularly powerful amulets. These are stones, usually flint or limestone, that have been worn through by water over many years, creating a natural opening. People hung these stones over beds for protection during sleep, particularly protection from nightmares or what they called hag riding, the terrifying experience we now call sleep paralysis. They hung them in barns to protect animals. They hung them on boats to ensure safe passage. Looking through the hole was said to allow you to see fairies or spirits, or to see through illusions and deceptions. These weren't purchased or carved, they were found, often at beaches or riverbeds, and the finding itself was considered lucky. The hole had to be natural, worn by water and time, not made by human hands. There was something about that patience, that slow work of elements, that made the stone powerful. You don't need to remember any of this. Just let it settle like sediment in a quiet pool. Turquoise has been used as a talisman by many cultures, particularly in the Americas, the Middle East, and Central Asia. Persian turquoise, with its pure sky blue color, was especially treasured and traded along the Silk Road. People believed turquoise could protect travelers, and that it would change color to warn of danger or poison, which actually has a grain of truth, as turquoise can darken or green when exposed to certain oils, chemicals, or heat. In many Native American traditions, particularly among the Navajo, Zuni, and other southwestern peoples, turquoise is a sacred stone connected to sky, water, and protection. It's traditionally used in ceremonies, set into jewelry, and given as gifts to mark important occasions. The specific meanings and uses vary by nation and are often private, not meant for outside sharing, which is something to respect. What we can say is that turquoise continues to be worked by indigenous artisans today, and when you purchase authentic indigenous-made turquoise jewelry, you're participating in a living tradition, not just a historical one. The stones are still being set with intention. The protection is still being offered. As you sink deeper now, imagine a small leather pouch, soft with age, hanging from a cord. Inside, a single stone, maybe turquoise, maybe carnelian, maybe a river stone with a hole worn through its heart. This pouch has been carried for years, touched in moments of fear or hope, worn close to the skin. It has traveled. It has witnessed. It has kept someone company through their days. In Japanese culture, there's a tradition of omamori, small amulets sold at Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples, usually fabric pouches containing prayers written on paper or wood. While these don't always contain stones, some do include small crystals or pebbles blessed by priests. You're not supposed to open an omamori, its power is sealed inside, private, protected. This idea appears in various forms across cultures: the amulet bag, the medicine pouch, the charm kept closed and secret. Sometimes people create their own, choosing stones that feel right for their purpose, adding herbs or written intentions, and sealing it all inside fabric or leather. The bag is worn under clothing or kept in a pocket, a secret source of strength. Modern witches often create what they call mojo bags or spell sachets, small pouches containing crystals chosen for specific purposes, along with herbs, oils, written petitions, or other meaningful objects. A mojo bag for protection might contain black tourmaline, a piece of obsidian, some salt, and a bay leaf inscribed with a protective symbol. A bag for prosperity might hold citron, a piece of pyrite, cinnamon, and a small coin. The practice is the same as it's always been, gathering materials with intention, combining them mindfully, and carrying them as a reminder and a support. The specific materials matter less than the care with which they're chosen and combined. Let yourself grow heavier, softer. Let the night hold you completely. There's something called a worry stone, a smooth, oval stone with a thumb-sized indentation, meant to be rubbed when you're anxious or stressed. While this might seem like a modern invention, the practice of carrying a smooth stone to rub for comfort is quite ancient. People have always sought small, portable sources of calm. Any smooth stone can become a worry stone with time and intention. You keep it in your pocket, and when your thoughts start spiraling, when your chest tightens, when the world feels too much, you reach for the stone. You rub your thumb across its smooth surface. The repetitive motion is soothing. The coolness of the stone is grounding. And underneath it all, there's the knowledge that this stone has been here before, that it will continue after, that your worry is real but also temporary, just a small moment in stone time. Some people choose specific stones for worry stones based on their properties, lepidolite for its lithium content and its association with calm, sodalite for its supposed ability to ease panic, blue lace agate for its gentle, peaceful energy. Others just choose whatever stone feels good in their hand, whatever stone they find themselves reaching for again and again. The stone becomes a friend. A witness. A small, solid thing to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. As you rest now, completely held by sleep or hovering at its edge, imagine all the stones that have been carried through history. Stones in the pockets of soldiers and sailors, pilgrims and merchants. Stones clutched in the hands of people giving birth, people facing death, people beginning new chapters. Stones passed from parent to child, teacher to student, lover to beloved. Each stone a small hope. Each stone a portable piece of Earth's patience. Each stone saying, "You are not alone. I am here with you. I have been here longer than your fear, and I will be here after." In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the language of color and element, how different colored stones have come to be associated with different energies and intentions, and how the old elemental system of earth, air, fire, and water still shapes modern crystal practice. But for now, rest. Feel yourself carried as you've carried others. Feel yourself protected as the earth protects all growing things. Let your breathing slow to stone time, to the pace of mountains rising and wearing away, to the deep rhythm of the patient world. The story continues, soft as dreams, old as the first human who picked up a stone and thought, "This matters. This means something. This is mine to carry." And so we drift onward, deeper into the velvet darkness, deeper into the space where learning happens without effort. Your mind knows how to absorb what it needs and let the rest dissolve like morning mist. Trust that process. Trust this moment of rest. We've traveled through protection and love, through cleansing and carrying. And now we turn to something that shapes how many modern practitioners choose their stones, the language of color, and the ancient system of elements that still whispers through contemporary magic. Let your jaw release. Let your hands open. Let yourself be held. Color has always spoken to us in ways that bypass words. We feel color before we think about it. Red quickens the pulse. Blue soothes. Yellow brightens. Green refreshes. This isn't just cultural or symbolic, there are physiological responses to color that humans seem to share across time and place. So when people began associating stones with intentions and energies, color became one of the primary ways of organizing that knowledge. Not the only way, never the only way, but a useful framework, a starting place. If you're looking for a stone to support calm and communication, you might be drawn to blue stones. If you're seeking vitality and courage, red stones might call to you. This isn't a rigid rule. It's more like a conversation between what the stone offers and what you need. And the language of that conversation often speaks in color. Red stones have been associated with life force, vitality, passion, and courage across many traditions. This makes sense when you think about it. Red is the color of blood, of the heart's work, of the life that pulses through us. Red is urgent. Red is embodied. Red says, you are alive, here, now. Garnet is one of the most historically significant red stones. The name comes from the Latin granatum, meaning pomegranate, because certain garnets look like the deep red seeds of that fruit. Garnets have been used in jewelry and amulets for thousands of years. Archaeologists have found garnet necklaces in graves from the Bronze Age. In medieval times, garnets were believed to light up the night, to protect travelers in darkness. Some crusaders set garnets into their armor and weapons, believing the stones would make them invincible and help them find their way home. Whether this worked, we cannot say. But the hope was real, and the deep red stone must have been a comfort far from home. In modern crystal work, garnet is often associated with the root chakra, that energy center at the base of the spine connected to survival, security, and physical vitality. Some people work with garnet when they're feeling ungrounded or disconnected from their body, or when they need to reignite their sense of passion and purpose. Let these words wash over you gently, like water over stones in a stream. Ruby, that most precious of red stones, has been called the king of gems in many cultures. It's a variety of corundum, the same mineral family as sapphire, colored red by chromium. Large, clear rubies are rarer than diamonds of equivalent quality, which is why they've been so treasured throughout history. In Sanskrit, ruby is called Ratnaraj, which means king of precious stones. Ancient Hindus believed that offering fine rubies to the god Krishna would grant rebirth as an emperor. Burmese warriors implanted rubies under their skin, believing this would make them invincible in battle, a practice that makes us wince now, but speaks to how deeply people believed in the stone's protective power. In modern practice, ruby is associated with vitality, passion, courage, and life force. It's considered a stone of the heart, but not in the gentle, soft way of rose quartz. Ruby is fierce heart energy, the willingness to love boldly, to fight for what matters, to live fully even knowing life is temporary. Orange stones like carnelian, which we've met before, bridge the space between red's urgency and yellow's mental clarity. Orange is creative fire, the spark that starts things, the courage to begin. Carnelian has been used by artists, writers, and craftspeople throughout history, carried as a talisman to overcome creative blocks and find the confidence to share one's work. In ancient Egypt, carnelian was sometimes called the setting sun and was associated with the feminine divine, with fertility and creative power. The architect Imhotep, who designed the first pyramid, was said to favor carnelian amulets. Whether this is historical fact or legend doesn't matter much, the story tells us that carnelian and creativity have been linked for a very long time. You don't need to hold on to any of this. Just let it float through your awareness like clouds. Yellow stones speak to the solar plexus, to personal power, to clarity of thought and will. Citron is the most popular yellow stone in modern crystal work, a variety of quartz colored by iron, ranging from pale yellow to deep amber. Natural citron is relatively rare. Much of what's sold as citron is actually heat-treated amethyst, which turns golden orange when heated. Does this matter? Some purists say yes, that heat-treated citron doesn't carry the same energy as natural citron. Others say a stone is a stone, and if it helps you connect to your intention, its origin story matters less. There's wisdom in both perspectives. Citron has earned the nickname merchant stone because of its association with prosperity and abundance. Some shop owners keep citron in their cash registers. Modern witches might place it on their desk when working on financial goals or career projects. The stone doesn't magically create money, but it might help you feel more confident, more focused, more willing to take the actions that lead to prosperity. Yellow jasper and golden tiger's eye also appear in solar plexus work, stones for confidence and personal power. Tiger's eye, which we met in the context of protection, has layers of meaning. It protects, yes, but it also empowers. It helps you see clearly and act decisively. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Let your thoughts become soft and scattered. Green stones connect us to the heart, but also to nature, growth, abundance, and healing. We've already met several green heart stones: aventurine, jade, malachite. But green appears in crystal work in other contexts too. Moss agate isn't technically a true agate but a form of chalcedony with green mineral inclusions that look like moss or ferns trapped inside. It's been used in agricultural magic for centuries, buried in fields to encourage good harvests, placed in gardens to help plants thrive. Whether the stone actually affects plant growth is doubtful, but the ritual of placing it with care, with hope, with attention to the cycles of growth, that matters. In modern practice, some people work with moss agate when they're trying to cultivate patience, when they're learning that growth takes time, that you can't rush the unfolding of things. The patterns inside the stone, those delicate green branches, remind us that beautiful things develop slowly, hidden at first, then gradually visible. Emerald, that precious green beryl, has been mined in Egypt since at least 1500 BCE. Cleopatra was famously passionate about emeralds, and mines from her era are still called Cleopatra's Mines. In ancient Rome, emeralds were dedicated to Venus, goddess of love and beauty, and were thought to protect lovers and ensure fidelity. There's an old belief that emeralds are good for the eyes, that looking at the green stone refreshes vision and relieves strain. Pliny the Elder wrote about this in his Natural History. While we can't say emeralds cure eye problems, there might be something to the idea that looking at soothing green provides psychological relief. We know that time in nature, surrounded by green growing things, tends to calm the nervous system. As you rest, imagine a forest floor covered in moss, soft and green and ancient. Stones nestling among the moss, patient and cool. Everything grows slowly here. Everything takes its time. And that's exactly right. Blue stones are associated with communication, truth, clarity, and the throat chakra in many modern systems. Lapis lazuli, which we've encountered several times already, is perhaps the most historically significant blue stone. For thousands of years, it was ground into ultramarine pigment, the most expensive and prized blue paint, used for the robes of the Virgin Mary in Renaissance paintings, for illuminated manuscripts, for anything that needed to convey the sacred. The blue of lapis comes from the mineral lazurite, often flecked with golden pyrite and white calcite, creating a stone that looks like the night sky full of stars. Many traditions associate lapis with wisdom, truth, and divine connection. Some people work with lapis when they're trying to speak their truth, especially truths that are difficult or that they've kept silent for a long time. Sodalite is another blue stone, often confused with lapis because of their similar color, but usually without the golden pyrite flecks. It's a sodium aluminum silicate, yes, sodium, like in table salt, and it often shows white veining from calcite. Some practitioners work with sodalite for mental clarity and rational thought, for cutting through emotional fog to see situations clearly. Blue lace agate, which we've mentioned briefly before, is a pale, soft blue stone with delicate banding. Of all the blue stones, it's perhaps the gentlest, associated not with powerful truth-speaking but with gentle communication, with finding your voice when speaking feels scary, with soothing anxiety around self-expression. Let the colors drift through your mind like a soft rainbow, each shade blending into the next. Purple and violet stones connect to intuition, spirituality, and the crown chakra in many systems. Amethyst, which we met early in our journey, remains the most popular purple stone. But there's also lepidolite, a lavender or purple mica that contains lithium, the same lithium used in mood-stabilizing medications. People often work with lepidolite for emotional balance and stress relief. Does the lithium content actually affect you when you hold the stone? Almost certainly not in any measurable way. You'd need to ingest or absorb it, and the amount present in the stone is minimal. But the association creates a kind of placebo effect, and placebo effects, while not magic, are genuinely powerful. If believing helps, then believing helps. Now let's speak for a moment about the classical elements, earth, air, fire, and water, and how they organize crystal work for many practitioners. This system is ancient, appearing in Greek philosophy, in Ayurvedic medicine, in Chinese five-element theory, which adds metal and wood, in indigenous knowledge systems around the world. The elements aren't meant to be literal. No one thinks a fire stone is literally made of flame. Instead, they're metaphors for different kinds of energy, different qualities of being. Earth is solid, stable, grounding, slow. Air is mental, communicative, swift, changeable. Fire is passionate, creative, transformative, intense. Water is emotional, intuitive, flowing, deep. Stones are often sorted by element based on color, formation, or traditional association. Earth stones might include most brown, black, and green stones, hematite, obsidian, moss agate, jade. Air stones might include clear, white, or light blue stones, clear quartz, selenite, blue lace agate. Fire stones might include red, orange, and sometimes yellow stones, carnelian, garnet, citron, sunstone. Water stones might include blue, purple, and some green stones, aquamarine, amethyst, moonstone, turquoise. But these categories overlap and shift depending on who you ask. There's no universal agreement, and that's fine. The framework is a tool, not a law. Let your breathing slow to match the rhythm of elements, the steady earth, the flowing water, the dancing fire, the drifting air. You contain all of them. You are all of them, constantly shifting, constantly balancing. Some practitioners build their crystal practice around balancing elements in their life. If you're feeling too floaty and unfocused, you might work with earth stones to ground. If you're feeling stuck and heavy, you might work with air stones to bring movement and clarity. If you're emotionally shut down, water stones might help you access feeling. If you've lost your spark, fire stones might reignite it. This isn't science. It's not meant to be. It's a language for talking about internal experience, a way of making invisible feelings visible through stone and color and element. As you drift now, nearly asleep or perhaps already dreaming, imagine yourself as a stone. What color are you today? What element do you embody in this moment? There's no right answer. You might be different tomorrow. You contain multitudes. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore some of the specific stones that practitioners love, the workhorses of modern crystal magic, the ones that appear again and again on altars and in spell work. We'll meet stones we haven't yet encountered and revisit old friends with new understanding. But for now, let the colors blend. Let the elements dance together. Let yourself dissolve into the rainbow spectrum of stone and sleep, each shade holding its own quiet magic, each hue singing its own soft song. The story continues, patient as geology, colorful as dawn. The night cradles you. The silence holds you. And we continue our slow journey through the world of stones, meeting now some of the crystals that modern practitioners reach for again and again, the familiar friends, the reliable companions, the stones that have earned their place on countless altars. Let your body be completely heavy now. Let go of holding anything, not even these words. They'll find you if they need to. Selenite is one of the most beloved stones in contemporary crystal work, though calling it a stone feels almost wrong. It's so soft, so delicate, often translucent like frozen moonlight. Selenite is a crystallized form of gypsum, and its name comes from Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon. It forms in long, blade-like crystals or sometimes in beautiful rosettes called desert roses. Because selenite is so soft, only a 2 on the Mohs hardness scale, it's easily scratched by a fingernail. This softness, this vulnerability, seems fitting for a stone associated with clarity, peace, and spiritual connection. Selenite doesn't protect through hardness. It clarifies through transparency. Many practitioners place selenite wands or towers on their altars as a way to keep the energy clear and flowing. Some believe selenite is self-cleansing and can even cleanse other stones placed near it, though as we've discussed, cleansing is more about intention than literal energy transfer. What's true is that selenite's clean, clear appearance invites clarity of thought and intention. Selenite also appears in what practitioners call charging plates, flat pieces of selenite on which other stones are placed, supposedly to recharge or amplify their energy. Again, whether this works in any measurable way is questionable. But the practice creates a designated sacred space, a way of organizing and honoring your stones, and that has value. Remember, selenite dissolves in water. Don't cleanse it with water, don't leave it in humid environments for long periods. Treat it gently. It will reward that gentleness with its luminous beauty. You don't need to remember any of this. Just float alongside it, easy and soft. Labradorite is a stone that has captured the imagination of modern crystal workers with its spectacular play of color, flashes of blue, green, gold, and sometimes purple that shimmer when the stone is moved. This effect, called labradorescence, is caused by light diffracting within the layers of the stone's structure. It's like the stone contains the aurora borealis, the northern lights frozen in mineral form. Labradorite is a type of feldspar, discovered in Labrador, Canada, in the late 1700s, though indigenous peoples of the region knew of it long before European contact. Inuit legend says the northern lights were once trapped in rocks along the coast, and a warrior struck the rocks with his spear, freeing most of the lights to dance in the sky, but some remained trapped, and those became labradorite. Whether you believe this story literally or poetically, it captures something about the stone, that sense of magic barely contained, of otherworldly beauty existing within ordinary-looking gray rock. You have to turn it just right to see the flash of color, which makes discovering it feel like finding a secret. Many modern practitioners work with labradorite for intuition, psychic protection, and spiritual exploration. Some say it creates a shield around the aura while allowing you to safely explore higher consciousness. Others simply appreciate its beauty and the reminder that magical things exist just beneath the surface of the seemingly mundane. Let your thoughts shimmer and shift like labradorite's colors, never quite settling, always in motion. Moonstone is another beloved stone in modern practice, and its name couldn't be more fitting. It's a type of feldspar like labradorite, but instead of colorful flashes, moonstone shows agilorescence, a soft, billowy glow that seems to float beneath the surface, like moonlight on water. The finest moonstones come from Sri Lanka and have been treasured there for centuries. In Hindu mythology, moonstone is solidified moonbeams. In Roman mythology, it was formed from the light of the moon goddess Diana. Throughout history, it's been associated with lunar energy, feminine cycles, intuition, and emotional balance. Some modern practitioners wear moonstone jewelry to help attune to the cycles of the moon, or to support hormonal balance, though of course, wearing a stone won't regulate your hormones in any medical sense. But if wearing moonstone helps you pay attention to your body's rhythms, helps you track your cycles, helps you honor your own ebbing and flowing energy, then it's serving its purpose. Moonstone is also considered a stone of new beginnings, perhaps because each new moon offers a fresh start, a clean slate, a chance to plant new intentions. Some people charge moonstone under the new moon and carry it throughout the month as a reminder of what they're cultivating. There's a superstition that moonstone should never be worn or carried during the waning moon, only during the waxing and full phases. But superstitions like this are optional, you can follow them if they resonate, or you can work with moonstone whenever it calls to you. As you rest here, imagine moonlight falling through water, soft and silver and shifting. You're beneath that water, held and safe, watching the light dance above you. Pyrite is a stone that makes people smile. It's so bright, so optimistic looking, so cheerfully metallic. Called fool's gold because inexperienced prospectors mistook it for the real thing, pyrite is actually iron sulfide, and it forms in beautiful cubic crystals or in round clusters called sun formations. Despite its common name, pyrite is far from foolish. It's been used since prehistoric times to create sparks for starting fires. The name comes from the Greek pyr, meaning fire. Strike pyrite against flint or steel, and it creates sparks. This practical use gave it a magical association with transformation, with the spark of creation, with the fire that changes everything. In modern crystal work, pyrite is often associated with confidence, willpower, and manifestation, particularly around money and career. Some people call it a stone of action, of moving from planning to doing. It sits on desks in offices, golden and gleaming, reminding people that sometimes you just need to strike the spark, to start, to move. Pyrite is also grounding despite its sunny appearance. It's heavy, metallic, full of iron. It grounds you while lifting your spirits, which is a useful combination. And there's something about its geometric perfection, those natural cubes, that speaks to structure, order, and the satisfying feeling of building something solid. Let the details drift away like smoke. Let sleep find you in the spaces between words. Fluorite is a stone of almost impossible variety. It comes in every color imaginable, often with multiple colors banded together in the same crystal. Purple and green fluorite is common and striking. There's also blue, yellow, pink, colorless, and even rainbow fluorite that shows the full spectrum. Fluorite is calcium fluoride, and it's relatively soft, like selenite, rating only a 4 on the Mohs hardness scale. But what it lacks in hardness it makes up for in beauty. When you hold a piece of fluorite up to light, it often glows with an inner luminescence. This is fluorescence, named after this very stone. Under UV light, many fluorites glow brilliant blue or purple. In modern practice, fluorite is associated with mental clarity, focus, and organization. Students sometimes keep fluorite on their desk while studying. People with ADHD or other attention challenges sometimes work with fluorite as a focusing aid, not because it magically fixes anything, but because having a beautiful object to hold and look at can help anchor wandering attention. Different colors of fluorite are thought to offer different support: purple for spiritual connection and intuition, green for emotional healing and heart centering, blue for calm communication, rainbow for integration and balance. But the divisions aren't rigid. Work with whatever color calls to you. Celestite is a stone of sky blue softness, often forming in beautiful geodes lined with delicate crystals. It's strontium sulfate, and like selenite, it's quite fragile, soft and easily damaged. The name comes from the Latin caelestis, meaning heavenly or celestial, and it does seem to carry the essence of a clear sky, of open space, of breathing room. Many practitioners work with celestite for peace, for connection to higher guidance, for relief from anxiety. Some place it in bedrooms for restful sleep, though its fragility means it needs to be handled carefully. Celestite can fade in direct sunlight and doesn't like moisture, so it's a stone that requires gentle care, which perhaps makes it all the more precious. There's something tender about working with fragile stones like celestite and selenite. You have to slow down, be mindful, treat them with respect. In a world that often values hardness and durability, these soft stones remind us that vulnerability has its own kind of strength. You're doing beautifully, drifting here, breathing softly. Let the stones parade past in your mind like a slow procession, each one glowing with its own particular light. Amazonite is a blue-green variety of feldspar. We're seeing a lot of feldspar in modern crystal work, named after the Amazon River, though ironically, it's not actually found in the Amazon basin. The name might have come from confusion with another green stone, or simply from its watery blue-green color that evokes tropical rivers. Amazonite has a lovely turquoise to jade green color and often shows a subtle mottled pattern. In modern practice, it's associated with truth, integrity, and honest communication, particularly communication that requires courage. Some people work with Amazonite when they need to set boundaries, have difficult conversations, or speak up about something that matters. There's a legend, probably not historically accurate, that Amazonian warrior women used Amazonite in their shields and for healing wounds. Whether or not this is true, the association with female strength and courage has persisted in modern crystal lore. Sunstone is a feldspar, notice the pattern, that contains tiny platelets of copper or hematite that create a glittery, metallic shimmer called eventurescence. It looks like the stone is full of golden or orange sparkles, like sunlight captured inside. The finest sunstones come from Oregon, and they can range from pale peach to deep red. In modern practice, sunstone is associated with joy, confidence, and vitality, all those sunny qualities you'd expect. Some people work with sunstone for seasonal affective disorder or when they're feeling dull and depleted. It's a stone that seems to say, remember warmth, remember brightness, remember that the sun will rise again. In ancient Greek mythology, sunstone was believed to represent the sun god Helios and to bring good fortune and life force to those who carried it. In Nordic traditions, it may have been used for navigation. Some sunstones have properties that allow them to locate the sun even in overcast skies, which would have been useful for Viking sailors. Let yourself warm in imaginary sunlight, safe and drowsy, like a cat in a window. Obsidian comes in varieties beyond the black we discussed earlier. Snowflake obsidian is black with white crystal inclusions that look like delicate snowflakes. These are cristobalite, a mineral that crystallized as the obsidian cooled. The contrast is striking, and symbolically, many practitioners see snowflake obsidian as representing the integration of light and dark, the acknowledgement that both exist within us. Rainbow obsidian shows thin bands of color when polished and held to light, purple, green, gold, created by nanoscopic bubbles in the glass. It's associated with releasing old wounds, bringing light to shadow, finding the rainbow in darkness. Some people find rainbow obsidian gentler than pure black obsidian for shadow work. Mahogany obsidian is black with reddish-brown streaks, created by iron oxide. It's thought to offer the protective qualities of obsidian but with added grounding and vitality from the red tones. And there's also golden sheen obsidian, silver sheen obsidian, each variety offering a slightly different flavor of that deep volcanic energy. The variety reminds us that even within one type of stone, there are infinite expressions, infinite personalities. No two pieces are exactly alike. Like us. As you drift deeper now, let all these stones arrange themselves in your mind however they choose, by color, by feeling, by some logic that belongs only to dreams. Let them become a landscape you're walking through, or a collection you're arranging with care, or simply points of light and darkness. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how people actually use these stones in daily practice, not elaborate rituals necessarily, but simple, everyday magic. We'll talk about crystal grids and stone layouts, about carrying stones in pockets and placing them in homes, about the small, practical ways stones become woven into modern magical life. But for now, rest completely. Let the stones hold their own stories. Let your breathing slow to the pace of minerals forming in the dark earth. Let sleep, if it hasn't already found you, wrap around you like soft hands. The story continues, gentle as breath, patient as crystal growing in the dark. Your breath is slow now, your body settled and heavy. And we continue onward, exploring not grand ceremonies or complex rituals, but the quiet, everyday ways that stones become part of a magical life. Let everything soften. Let your mind be like water, accepting whatever passes through it without holding on. Crystal grids are one of the most popular practices in modern crystal work, arrangements of stones in geometric patterns, usually on a flat surface, designed to combine and amplify the stone's individual energies toward a specific intention. The concept draws from sacred geometry, from the idea that certain shapes and patterns hold inherent power or meaning. A simple grid might be just 3 stones arranged in a triangle. A more elaborate one might involve dozens of stones placed in concentric circles, star patterns, or flower of life designs. The center stone, called the master or generator stone, is usually the largest or most significant, with other stones radiating outward from it. People create grids for all kinds of intentions: protection for the home, abundance and prosperity, healing for themselves or loved ones, support during difficult times, or simply to honor the changing seasons. The grid might stay in place for a day, a moon cycle, or until the intention is fulfilled. Some practitioners activate their grids by using a wand or pointed crystal to trace lines between the stones, connecting them energetically. Does this work in any scientifically measurable way? Almost certainly not. But the practice of sitting down, clarifying your intention, choosing stones mindfully, arranging them with care, this is a form of meditation, of focus, of bringing conscious attention to what you want to cultivate. And that is genuine power. Let yourself imagine a grid of stones on a wooden table, each one placed with intention, the pattern pleasing to the eye. You don't need to create one. Just knowing the practice exists is enough. Stone layouts on the body are another common practice, often called crystal healing or stone therapy. A person lies down, usually on their back, and stones are placed at specific points on the body, often aligned with the chakras, but not always. The person rests there for 20 minutes to an hour, breathing, meditating, or simply drifting. Practitioners might place hematite at the feet for grounding, carnelian on the lower belly for creative energy, rose quartz on the heart, blue stones at the throat, amethyst on the forehead. The specific stones and placements vary based on tradition, intuition, and what the person needs. There's no scientific evidence that this produces measurable effects beyond relaxation. But relaxation itself is valuable, especially in a world that rarely gives us permission to lie still and do nothing. And there's something deeply soothing about the weight of cool stones on your body, about the ritual of being tended to with care. Some people do stone layouts for themselves, placing what stones they can reach and simply resting. Others receive them from practitioners, massage therapists, energy workers, or friends who have studied the practice. Either way, the experience is generally one of deep rest and often emotional release. You don't need to move. Just breathe. Just be held by the darkness and the silence. Many practitioners keep stones in specific locations around their home, creating what some call a crystal sanctuary or simply a more intentional living space. This might mean placing black tourmaline near the front door for protection, selenite on the windowsill for clarity, rose quartz in the bedroom for rest and gentle dreams. Some people place specific stones in the four corners of their home or room, creating a protective boundary. Others put stones on their desk to support focus and creativity, or on their altar to honor particular deities or intentions. Still others tuck stones into drawers, under pillows, in cars, or anywhere they want a little extra support. This practice comes from the ancient tradition of threshold stones, special stones placed at doorways, gates, and property boundaries for protection and blessing. The Romans had threshold deities and would place offerings, including stones, at doorways during certain festivals. In various folk traditions, specific stones were buried under doorsteps or set into walls during construction to bless and protect the home. The modern version is gentler, less formal, just the practice of being mindful about where you place things, of treating your living space as sacred, of using stones as anchors for intention in the places where you live your life. Carrying stones in pockets or pouches is perhaps the simplest practice of all, and one of the oldest. You choose a stone based on what you need that day: confidence for an important meeting, calm for a stressful situation, courage for a difficult conversation, and you carry it with you. Throughout the day, you might touch the stone, hold it for a moment, let it remind you of your intention. Or you might forget about it entirely and only remember it at day's end when you empty your pockets. Either way, the stone has been with you, a small solid presence, a connection to earth and to your own intention. Some people choose the same stone to carry every day for weeks or months, building a relationship with it. Others rotate through their collection, choosing intuitively each morning. There's no wrong approach. The stones don't keep score. Let your breathing deepen. Let sleep find the spaces between these words. Crystal elixirs or gem waters are another practice in modern crystal work, though one that requires careful attention to safety. The traditional method involves placing stones in water, letting them sit for hours or days, and then drinking the water, supposedly infused with the stone's energy. Here's where we need to be very clear: many stones are toxic and should never be placed directly in water that you'll drink. Malachite can leach copper. Pyrite can create sulfuric acid. Turquoise often contains aluminum. Even some forms of quartz have been treated with dyes or coatings that could be harmful. If you want to work with crystal elixirs safely, use the indirect method. Place the stone in a small sealed container, then place that container inside a larger container of water. The stone never touches the water you'll drink, but some practitioners feel the water still absorbs the stone's vibration. Or you can simply place stones near a glass of water and set your intention that the water absorbs the qualities you seek. Better yet, you can hold the stone while you drink plain water, bringing mindful attention to your intention. The stone doesn't need to be in the water to support your practice. This might seem like unnecessary caution, but part of working with natural materials is understanding their properties, both the beautiful and the potentially harmful. The earth is generous but not always gentle. Respect requires knowledge. As you rest here, imagine drinking cool, clear water from a simple glass, a stone held in your other hand. The water refreshes you. The stone grounds you. Both are simple, and both are enough. Some modern practitioners work with what they call stone meditation or crystal gazing, sitting with a single stone for an extended period, simply observing it, noticing its details, letting it become a focal point for meditation. This practice can reveal aspects of the stone you'd never notice in passing, inclusions that look like landscapes, patterns that seem to shift as the light changes, tiny rainbows hiding in cracks. There's a practice in some Buddhist traditions of kasina meditation, where you focus on a single object, a colored disc, a flame, a bowl of water, until your mind becomes completely absorbed. Stone meditation works similarly. The stone becomes your whole world for that time. Everything else falls away. People sometimes report receiving insights or messages during stone meditation, though whether these come from the stone or from their own subconscious doesn't really matter. What matters is that focused attention, that willingness to slow down and really see something, often reveals what we need to know. You might hold a piece of clear quartz and watch light refract through it, noticing how the rainbows shift and dance. Or gaze into the depths of a piece of labradorite, watching the colors flash and disappear. Or simply hold a smooth river stone and observe your thoughts flowing past like water. Let your thoughts flow now, unattached, like clouds across the moon. Stone bathing is an extension of carrying stones. You add them to your bathwater, creating what some practitioners call a crystal bath. This combines the benefits of water therapy with the intention setting of crystal work. You might add rose quartz for self-love, amethyst for calm, clear quartz for clarity. Again, you need to make sure the stones are water-safe and non-toxic. Most quartz varieties are fine. Many others are not. When in doubt, place the stones around the tub rather than in it, on the edges, on the floor nearby, creating a circle of stone energy around your bathing space. Some people add stones to foot baths, especially grounding stones like hematite or black tourmaline, feeling that this helps discharge stress and excess energy through the feet. Others place stones in the shower, on the ledge or in a corner, so they're present but not underfoot. The ritual of preparing the bath, choosing the stones, lighting candles perhaps, adding herbs or salts, this is all part of the magic. The bath becomes not just cleaning but cleansing, not just rest but restoration. The stones witness your vulnerability, your nakedness, your willingness to care for yourself with tenderness. Sleeping with stones is common too, placing them under your pillow, on your nightstand, or in a small pouch attached to the bed. Different stones are thought to support different kinds of sleep and dreams. Amethyst for peaceful sleep and vivid dreams. Moonstone for prophetic dreams and lunar connection. Lepidolite for relief from nightmares and anxiety. Black tourmaline for protection during sleep's vulnerable hours. Some people find that certain stones make them dream too vividly or sleep too lightly, and they learn through experimentation which stones feel good in the bedroom and which are better elsewhere. There's no universal answer. You are your own best guide. As you sink towards sleep yourself, imagine stones arranged around your bed like quiet guardians, like friends keeping watch while you rest. They ask nothing. They simply presence themselves, patient and solid and old. Let yourself be held. Let yourself drift. Let the stones hold space while you journey into dreams. Seasonal stone work is another practice, changing which stones you work with based on the time of year, the festivals, the wheel of the seasons. During winter, you might work with stones of protection and introspection, obsidian, smoky quartz, jet. During spring, stones of new growth, moss agate, green aventurine, carnelian for creative fire. Summer might call for bright stones of abundance, citron, sunstone, clear quartz. Autumn brings harvest and release, tiger's eye, jasper, stones of gratitude and letting go. This practice connects crystal work to the older rhythms of earth-based spirituality, to the acknowledgement that we're not separate from nature but part of it, cycling through seasons of growth and rest, light and dark, expansion and contraction. Some practitioners change their altar setup with the seasons, shifting which stones take center stage, which colors dominate, which energies they're calling in. This keeps the practice alive and responsive rather than static and stale. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the relationship between crystals and other magical tools, how stones work alongside herbs, candles, tarot cards, and written intentions. We'll see how stones become part of larger webs of practice, how they support and enhance other forms of magic. But for now, let the practices settle into your awareness like seeds into soil. You don't need to do any of this. Simply knowing these possibilities exist expands what's available to you, should you ever want to reach for it. Rest now. Let your body be completely heavy. Let your mind float free. Let the stones, real or imagined, hold space for your dreaming. The story continues, soft as sleep itself, woven through with stone and starlight. And so we drift onward, carried by the current of night, held by the soft darkness. You're deeply at rest now, or perhaps already dreaming, and either way, all is well. The stones we've been meeting throughout this journey don't exist in isolation, they live alongside other tools, other practices, other forms of magic. And that's what we explore now, gently, like touching the edges of a spider's web and watching the whole thing shimmer. Let your jaw release completely. Let your hands unfurl. There's nothing to hold, nothing to grasp. Stones and herbs have been companions in magical practice for thousands of years. In many traditions, their work together, their energies thought to complement and enhance each other. A spell bag might contain both crystals and dried herbs chosen for similar intentions, rose quartz and rose petals for love, black tourmaline and rosemary for protection, citron and cinnamon for prosperity. The pairing makes practical sense. Herbs engage the sense of smell, bringing scent into the practice. Stones engage touch and sight, providing weight and visual beauty. Together, they create a more immersive sensory experience, which can make intention setting feel more real, more embodied. In ancient Egypt, both precious stones and aromatic herbs were used in the mummification process and placed in tombs. Myrrh resin and frankincense worked alongside lapis lazuli and carnelian to prepare the deceased for the afterlife. The physical preservation from herbs and oils worked symbolically alongside the spiritual protection from stones. In medieval Europe, herbalists and cunning folk, those who practiced folk magic and healing, often combined stones with plant medicine. A charm bag might contain both a piece of coral for protection and dried mugwort for prophetic dreams. A healing poultice might be held in place by a stone believed to draw out fever or infection. Today, many practitioners create what they call spell jars or witch bottles, glass containers layered with herbs, stones, and other materials, sealed with wax and intention. The visual effect can be beautiful: layers of colored salt, dried flowers, small crystals, perhaps written petitions rolled into scrolls. These jars might be kept on altars, buried on property, or given as gifts. Let these images drift through your mind like smoke, beautiful and insubstantial. Stones and candles work together in many magical practices, particularly in candle spells where stones are placed around the base of a candle or arranged in a circle around it. The candle provides the element of fire, transformation, and the passage of time. As it burns down, the spell is thought to activate and release. The stones provide specific energies or intentions: grounding, protection, love, whatever's needed. Different colored candles are matched with different stones based on color correspondence. A green candle for prosperity might be surrounded by citron, pyrite, and green aventurine. A pink candle for self-love might sit in a circle of rose quartz. A white candle for clarity and new beginnings might be accompanied by clear quartz and selenite. Some practitioners anoint their candles with oils, herbs infused in carrier oils, and then roll them in crushed dried herbs before placing stones around them. The result is a multi-sensory ritual: the flicker of flame, the scent of herbs and wax, the visual beauty of stones catching candlelight, the warmth on your skin as you sit nearby. In older European folk magic, certain stones were placed in lanterns or near hearth fires for protection. The stone would be heated by the fire and then, some believed, would radiate protective energy along with the warmth. Whether this worked magically is unknown, but a warm stone in your pocket on a cold day is certainly comforting, and comfort is its own kind of magic. As you rest, imagine a single candle flame dancing in darkness, and around it, a circle of stones like worshippers, like witnesses. The flame casts shadows that shift and play across their surfaces. Everything is quiet. Everything is still. Stones appear frequently in divination practices, sometimes as the tools of divination themselves, sometimes as supportive companions. Lithomancy is the practice of divination with stones, casting marked or chosen stones and interpreting their patterns, similar to runes but using stones instead of carved symbols. Some practitioners paint or carve symbols onto small stones, elemental symbols, astrological signs, simple meanings like yes, no, wait, hidden influence. These stones are then shaken in a bag and cast onto a cloth marked with sections representing different life areas: home, work, relationships, spiritual path. Where the stones fall and which symbols appear in which sections creates the reading. Other diviners use a set of unadorned stones of different types, each stone representing different energies based on its natural properties. Clear quartz might represent clarity or questions. Hematite might represent material concerns or obstacles. Rose quartz might represent relationships or emotional matters. The combination and placement of stones that land face up creates meaning. Whether lithomancy reveals genuine prophetic information or simply provides a framework for intuition and subconscious processing is a matter of belief. What's certain is that the practice is ancient. People have been casting lots, throwing bones, reading stones for as long as we've been asking questions about the future. Many tarot readers and other diviners keep crystals on their reading table or hold them while shuffling cards. Clear quartz is popular for amplifying intuition. Amethyst for spiritual connection and psychic opening. Labradorite for enhancing intuitive gifts. The stones don't do the reading, the person does, but they might serve as focal points, as anchors, as tools for getting into the right headspace for intuitive work. Let your mind open and soften, receptive as still water reflecting the moon. Stones and written magic also have a long history together. In some traditions, you write your intention or petition on a piece of paper, fold it small, and place it under a stone on your altar. The stone's weight holds the intention, keeps it grounded and present. Some people update their petitions with each moon cycle, burning the old one and placing a new one under the stone. In other practices, stones themselves are inscribed with words, symbols, or sigils, magical symbols designed to represent specific intentions. A smooth piece of obsidian might have a protection sigil painted on it in gold. A piece of rose quartz might be inscribed with initials representing yourself and your intention to love yourself better. In ancient times, stones were often inscribed with prayers, names of deities, or magical formulas. Small amulet stones have been found with Greek or Hebrew inscriptions asking for protection, healing, or divine favor. The stone was the medium, but the words were thought to activate or direct its power. Bind runes, combinations of runic symbols drawn as one image, were sometimes carved into stones for specific purposes. A stone with bind runes might be carried, buried on property, or placed over a doorway. The runes would combine their meanings, say, protection plus prosperity plus family harmony, into a single focused intention held by the stone. Modern practitioners sometimes combine stones with sigil magic. They draw a sigil representing their intention, place a relevant stone on top of it, and leave it for a lunar cycle or until the intention manifests. Then they might keep the stone, burn the sigil paper to release the spell, and begin again with a new intention. You don't need to remember these details. Just let them wash over you like gentle waves. Stones and sound work together beautifully. We mentioned singing bowls earlier as a cleansing method, but sound and stone combine in other ways too. Some practitioners use tuning forks on or near crystals, believing specific frequencies resonate with specific stones. A tuning fork tuned to 528 Hz, sometimes called the love frequency, might be used with rose quartz. Lower frequencies might be paired with grounding stones. Crystal singing bowls are made from crushed quartz that's melted and molded into bowl shapes. When struck or rimmed, they produce clear, sustained tones that some people find deeply meditative. Practitioners might place stones inside the bowl while playing it, or arrange stones around the outside, creating a sound bath that incorporates both the tones and the stone energies. In some shamanic traditions, stones are placed on or near drums, or rattles are made with small stones inside hollow gourds. The stones add weight, change the sound, and bring their particular medicine to the ceremony. Each stone adds its voice to the larger song. There's also the practice of simply humming, singing, or toning while holding stones, bringing your own voice, your own vibration, into relationship with the stone's patient solidity. This can be deeply grounding for people who live very much in their heads, bringing them into their body through breath and sound. Let sound become soft in your mind, barely audible, like a lullaby hummed from another room. Stones appear in moon magic and lunar rituals in various ways. Beyond charging stones in moonlight, which we've discussed, some practitioners create moon water, water left under the moon, usually the full moon, and use this water to cleanse or anoint their stones. The moon water becomes a bridge between lunar energy and stone energy. Some people time their crystal work to the moon phases, acquiring new stones during the new moon, cleansing stones during the waning moon, charging them during the waxing moon, working actively with them during the full moon. This creates a rhythm, a cycle, a way of working with stones that mirrors the larger cycles of nature. Moonstone, as we've learned, has obvious lunar connections. But other stones are also associated with moon magic. Selenite, named for the moon goddess Selene, clear quartz, which has been called moon crystal in some traditions, and even certain types of labradorite, which show a moonlight glow. Some practitioners create lunar altars that change throughout the month, featuring different stones as the moon waxes and wanes. The new moon altar might have dark stones for introspection and new intentions. The full moon altar might have bright, clear stones for illumination and celebration. The practice becomes a meditation on cycles, a constant change that is the only constant. In certain indigenous traditions, and we speak of these respectfully, from the outside, acknowledging we cannot fully know what we have not been initiated into, stones are sometimes placed on the earth during moon ceremonies, creating a circle or pattern that honors both the moon above and the earth below, the interplay of light and dark, sky and stone. As you drift deeper, imagine moonlight falling on stones arranged in a circle. The light is silver and soft. The stones are patient. The moment is held outside of time, eternal and fleeting both. Stones and water work together in ways beyond cleansing. Some practitioners place stones in fountains or fish tanks, being careful to choose non-toxic stones, to combine the flowing energy of water with the stable energy of stone. Others place stones at the edges of ponds or streams when visiting natural water sources, as offerings or as ways of marking sacred space. In some folk traditions, stones found in rivers or the ocean are considered particularly powerful because they've been shaped and blessed by water over time. A stone that's completely smooth, worn by years of tumbling and current, has a quality of surrender, of letting life shape you without resistance. These river stones and beach stones are often kept just as they are, unpolished and unaltered, witnesses to water's patient work. Water divination has sometimes involved stones, dropping a stone in still water and reading the ripples, or placing stones in water and observing which way they settle. In some cultures, people would throw stones into wells or sacred springs as offerings, speaking their prayers as the stone disappeared into darkness. Let yourself be held by water and stone both, fluid and solid, changing and unchanging, both necessary, both true. In the next part of our journey, we'll begin to gather up all these threads, weaving them into guidance for beginning or deepening your own practice with stones. We'll talk about choosing your first crystals, listening to your intuition, avoiding common pitfalls, and creating a relationship with stones that feels authentic to you. But for now, rest in this web of connections, this network of practices that spans cultures and centuries. Stones and herbs, stones and fire, stones and water, stones and song, all of it braided together, all of it available, all of it optional. You can work with stones in any of these ways, in all of them, or in none. The stones will not judge your choices. Sleep now, or continue drifting at this edge of sleep. Let the connections shimmer and fade. Let yourself be held by the patient darkness, by the soft night, by the ancient earth that has always held all of us. The story continues, woven like threads, connected like roots. Here we are, deeper still in the night, floating in that space where time moves differently. Your breathing is so slow now, so steady. And we turn towards something personal and practical, how you might begin or deepen your own relationship with stones, if that calls to you. But even this guidance is offered lightly, like a whisper, like something you can take or leave as you drift toward dreams. Let your whole body sink. Let the weight of you be held completely by what's beneath you. When people ask how to choose their first crystal, they often expect a definitive answer, a list of must-have stones, a proper order for acquiring them. But the truth is gentler and less rigid than that. There are as many ways to begin as there are people beginning. Some practitioners suggest starting with clear quartz because it's versatile, relatively inexpensive, and considered adaptable to any intention. Clear quartz is sometimes called the beginner's stone, though longtime practitioners still work with it too. It's available, forgiving, and beautiful in its simplicity. Others suggest starting with whatever stone you're drawn to, even if you don't know why. That pull, that attraction, that moment of "oh, I want to hold that," this is your intuition speaking. Maybe the stone's energy genuinely calls to something in you. Or maybe you just think it's pretty, and that's reason enough. Beauty is a valid teacher. Still others recommend starting with a stone that addresses a current need. If you're struggling with anxiety, perhaps lepidolite or blue lace agate. If you're recovering from heartbreak, rose quartz. If you need grounding during chaotic times, hematite or smoky quartz. This approach makes the practice immediately relevant, immediately helpful. There's wisdom in all these approaches. You might try one, or mix them, or find your own way entirely. Let the question of beginning drift away. You're already here. That's beginning enough. When you're choosing a stone, whether online or in person, some practitioners speak of the stone choosing you. They describe a feeling of recognition, of rightness, of yes, this one. Not every stone will give you this feeling, and that's fine. Some stones are neutral. Some feel wrong. Some feel perfect. If you're shopping in person, you have the advantage of touch. Pick up different stones. Notice which ones feel good in your hand, temperature, weight, texture, the indefinable quality of rightness. Some people report that certain stones feel warmer or tingle slightly, while others feel cool and calming. Whether this is objective or subjective doesn't matter. Your experience is your guide. If you're shopping online, you'll need to rely more on visual attraction and intuitive hits. Look at photos. Notice which stones make you pause, which ones you keep coming back to. Some online sellers offer to intuitively choose stones for buyers, which can be lovely, a small act of trust, letting someone else's intuition serve yours. Here's something important: you don't need expensive stones. A tumbled rose quartz the size of your thumbnail can support your practice just as well as a massive rose quartz geode. The stone doesn't know its price tag. Bigger and rarer doesn't mean more powerful, just bigger and rarer. In some wisdom traditions, there's a teaching that tools choose their practitioners, not the other way around. A wand finds its wizard. A stone finds its keeper. Whether you believe this literally or as poetic truth, there's something to the practice of letting yourself be drawn rather than deciding from pure logic. As you rest here, imagine walking past a table of stones at a market, candlelight flickering across their surfaces. Your hand reaches out before you've consciously decided, touches one particular stone. That's yours. You know it immediately. Once you have a stone or stones, the question becomes, now what? And the answer, whispered gently, is there's no single right thing to do. You might begin by simply spending time with your stone. Hold it while you read or watch television. Keep it on your desk while you work. Place it on your nightstand and let it keep you company while you sleep. Notice what you notice. Does having the stone nearby change anything? Does it affect your mood, your sleep, your focus? Or does nothing change except that you have a beautiful object to look at? Both outcomes are valid. Stones don't promise miracles. They offer companionship. Some people like to cleanse new stones when they first bring them home, using whatever method appeals to them: moonlight, smoke, sound, visualization. The idea is to clear any energies from previous handlers or storage, to make the stone fresh and ready for your work. Others feel this isn't necessary, that stones are neutral and don't accumulate energy that needs clearing. Do what feels right to you. If cleansing a new stone feels like a good ritual for beginning your relationship with it, then cleanse it. If it feels like unnecessary fuss, skip it. The stone will forgive you either way. Let your thoughts become like clouds, soft and scattered, drifting across the vast sky of your mind. Research is valuable but can also be overwhelming. There are countless books, websites, and social media accounts dedicated to crystal properties and meanings. You'll quickly discover that different sources say different things about the same stone. One book says citron is for prosperity, another emphasizes confidence, a third focuses on creativity. Which is right? All of them, or none of them, depending on your perspective. Remember that these properties aren't inherent to the stones in any scientific sense, they're collective agreements, cultural associations, personal experiences shared and repeated until they become tradition. Different traditions will have different agreements. So research can give you a starting point, a framework, a language for talking about your work. But don't let it override your own experience. If a book says moonstone is calming but you find it energizing, trust yourself. If everyone says black tourmaline is protective but it makes you anxious, listen to that. You are the authority on your own experience. Some practitioners keep a crystal journal, writing about their experiences with different stones. Which ones they're drawn to when. What changes they notice, if any. Dreams that come up. Synchronicities. This creates a personal grimoire of stone knowledge that's more valuable than any published book because it's yours, drawn from your direct experience. Others work more intuitively, never writing anything down, just living with their stones and letting the relationship unfold naturally. Both approaches are valid. You might try journaling for a while and then stop. You might resist it for years and then suddenly find it helpful. Let your practice evolve. As you sink deeper into rest, imagine a blank journal lying open on a table, moonlight falling across empty pages, waiting. Waiting without urgency. Waiting the way stones wait, content to remain empty or to be filled, indifferent to which. A common pitfall for beginners is collecting too many stones too quickly, before developing relationships with any of them. It's easy to do, stones are beautiful, and each new one promises something alluring. Protection, love, abundance, clarity, wouldn't it be wonderful to have all of these? But a practice built on accumulation can become hollow. 20 stones you've never worked with don't serve you better than 2 stones you know intimately. Some experienced practitioners have large collections, but they usually built them slowly, adding stones as genuine needs or attractions arose. If you find yourself wanting to buy every stone you see, pause and ask why. Are you seeking something specific, or is this more about the excitement of acquiring, the hope that the right stone will fix everything? Stones are tools, not solutions. They support work, they don't replace it. Some practitioners intentionally limit themselves, deciding to work deeply with just 3 or 5 stones for an entire year, resisting the urge to expand. This constraint creates depth. You begin to notice subtleties you'd miss if you were constantly switching to new stones. Others enjoy variety and feel called to work with many different stones, and that's fine too. Just be honest with yourself about whether you're collecting or relating, acquiring or practicing. Let the temptation to have everything fade away. You have enough. You are enough. The stones you have, or the ones you'll find, are enough. Another consideration: what to do when stones break, chip, or get lost. This happens, and it can feel significant when it does. Some traditions say that when a stone breaks, it has completed its work with you, or it broke to protect you from harm, taking the damage upon itself. Others say stones break because they're fragile and life is full of accidents, and no deeper meaning is required. Both interpretations can be true simultaneously. You can acknowledge the physical reality, stones are brittle, things break, while also allowing the event to hold symbolic meaning if that's helpful. A broken stone might be buried, returned to earth, with gratitude for whatever time you had together. Or it might be kept in pieces, the break itself becoming part of its story. Lost stones present a similar question. Was the loss random, or did the stone need to leave, its job with you complete? Did someone else need to find it? These are questions without definitive answers, but asking them can be part of the practice, part of staying in relationship with mystery. Some people feel intense distress when a beloved stone is lost or broken. If this is you, be gentle with yourself. The attachment is real, even if the stone is just a rock. You projected meaning onto it, worked with it, carried it through difficult times. Grieving its loss is natural and valid. As you rest, imagine a small stone slipping from your pocket, falling into grass, disappearing. You look for it but cannot find it. And slowly, you realize, it's okay. It was here, and now it's somewhere else. The memory remains. The work you did together remains. All is still well. Ethics in crystal collecting is worth considering as your practice develops. We've touched on this before, but it deserves more attention. The crystal market has grown enormously in recent years, and this growth has consequences. Some mining operations damage ecosystems, pollute water, or exploit workers. Some popular stones are now being over-harvested from sensitive environments. And in some places, crystal mining displaces indigenous communities or destroys sacred sites. These aren't abstract problems, they're real harms that our purchasing choices can either support or resist. You can't avoid all harm, that's not realistic in our interconnected world. But you can make more conscious choices. Buy from sellers who are transparent about their sources. Support small-scale, ethical miners when possible. Buy second-hand from thrift stores and estate sales. These stones need no new mining. Collect your own stones from places where it's legal and ecologically sound to do so. And remember, fewer stones, chosen carefully, with attention to their origins, will serve your practice better than many stones acquired thoughtlessly. Quality of relationship matters more than quantity of objects. Let concern soften into intention. You'll do your best. That's all anyone can do. Finally, remember that your relationship with stones can change over time. A stone that spoke deeply to you 5 years ago might feel neutral now. A stone you ignored for months might suddenly become essential. This doesn't mean you were wrong before or that you're doing something wrong now. It means you're growing, changing, and your needs are changing too. Some practitioners periodically go through their collection and set aside stones that no longer resonate. These might be given away, sold, or donated to crystal lending libraries. Yes, these exist in some communities. The stones move on to someone else who needs them, and you keep only what actively serves your practice. Others keep everything they've ever acquired, seeing their collection as a history of their own journey, even if they no longer work with every piece. Both approaches are valid. Your practice is yours to shape. As you drift now, completely held by sleep or hovering at its threshold, know that beginning is easier than you think. Choose one stone, or let one choose you. Spend time with it. Notice what you notice. Let the relationship unfold naturally, without forcing, without expectations. That's enough. That's everything. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore some final wisdom, how to maintain your practice over time, how to trust yourself when guidance conflicts, and how to remember that the real magic was never in the stones but in your own attention, your own intention, your own willingness to wonder. But for now, rest completely. Let all questions dissolve. Let yourself be held by the patient earth, by the darkness that has no edges, by the soft night that asks nothing and gives everything. The story continues, gentle as breathing, patient as stone.